Every single person in this world has an intuitive ability, but most of us never really learned how to follow our intuition or how to listen or even hear when our intuition is speaking to us. But most of us have some experience where we did something and then afterwards, you'll say, oh, I wish I just listened to myself, which shows that the voice of the intuition does speak to us. So what I want to do in today's video is show you how you can begin to develop your intuition. So it's all about learning to trust yourself and following your inner guidance. All people have intuition. We all have access to that gut feeling or inner voice or, nudges that we get. And I think of intuition as a multidimensional construct. So it is an evolved form of higher guidance, and you can almost look at it as your subconscious mind, which is plugged into your past experiences and your environmental cues, and your subconscious mind that is also plugged into energy source. And we are then getting fed information from the physical and the energetic plane. It gets fed to us through our higher self, and we can interpret and get in touch with our intuition and our intuitive hits by connecting deeply into the physical body. That's where our intuition usually shows up, is in the physical body. So if we know that we've got intuition and we know that we can have access to these intuitive impulses and intuitive hits, the question is then, why don't we pay more attention to it? Our intuition is very soft and subtle, so we really have to go quiet. We really have to go within to get rid of all the noise around us in order to really access the information that our intuition is feeding into us. And there's also, a couple of other reasons why it's so difficult for us or challenging for us to follow our intuition, to trust ourselves. I think a big reason is that we are very reliant a lot of times on the approval of people around us. We will tend to conform and take action in alignment of what other people expect us to do, and we become how other people expect us to be. We do the things that we think we should be doing. I can remember when I was in my 20s, I got this idea in my head that I wanted to buy a certain car. And I took the car for a test drive, but as I was driving this car, I just knew that it wasn't going to be a good idea for me to buy this car. But I had told my partner, and he was so enthusiastic about me driving this car. All my friends were excited about me getting the car, and I ended up buying the car. But as I drove off the showroom floor, I knew that I had made one of the most expensive mistakes in my life, at that point. It turned out that the maintenance and the service fees on the car, it was so expensive. I had to sell the car, and it cost me a lot of money. But I resisted going with my intuition. I resisted listening to myself because I wanted the approval of my partner. I didn't want to disappoint him, and I thought that, he might know better than me because he thinks it's a good idea. My resistance or my fear is maybe not that valid. If this happens to you often enough, you begin to doubt your intuition, and you begin to doubt that you can really trust yourself and trust your own inner wisdom. Another reason is that we might put ourselves under pressure. Say, for example, there's an urgent decision to be made, or a big decision, or we are working against a deadline. You then begin to make decisions and you begin to act from your ego, which is fear-based. And so you dismiss the messages that your intuition or that your gut is sending you. So it's a good idea if you have a track record, of making hasty decisions that you are sorry about afterwards. It's a good idea for you to kind of distance yourself and step away before you make the decision. Step away and put some space between you and making the decision. Move out your deadline, or take a couple of hours before you send that email or resign from your job. And just create that space, take away that sense of urgency, and allow for your inner voice to come through. Another big challenge in following or hearing our intuition is that our intuition, that subtle and soft little inner voice, competes with so many other voices inside your mind. And we all have lots of voices. We've got the voice of the inner critic. We've got the voice of self-doubt. We've got the voice of fear. We've got the voice of judgment. So all of these voices are constantly talking to us. They're constantly engaging with us. Your mental chatter is going on the whole time. So in my experience, these are the main reasons why it's so difficult to develop and to connect with our inner wisdom. And I'm curious to find out from you. One of my big stories of not listening to my inner wisdom was when I bought this car. What happened to you in your life? Do you have any experiences or stories to share about the time that you didn't listen to your intuition and you wish that you did? Next, I want to share with you some practices that you can begin to use to develop your intuition and really tap into and follow your inner guidance. The first practice is for you to understand what your intuition shows up like for you. Every person has their own brand of intuition. We all experience our intuition differently, and for you to be able to really tune into that inner wisdom and really connect and tap into your intuitive abilities, it's important for you to know how they show up. So you do that by paying attention, you do that by really going inwards, and it might be images that you get. You might get, little flashes of a movie story. You might hear a word or you might hear a sound. Usually you can experience it as a sensation in the body, so a feeling in the body, and it might be a feeling of openness or it might be a feeling of closeness or heaviness. It might feel quite dense with resistance, or it might feel light and bubbly. So really drop out of your logical brain, drop out of your mind and into your body and hold curiosity to really begin to get to know what your inner voice sounds like. The second practice that you can use is to create proof for yourself that you do have intuitive abilities, that your intuition does speak to you. And the way that you can do this is by grabbing a journal or a notebook and then writing down or thinking back of the times where you did something based on an intuitive impulse or a thought that you got. A third practice, which is so important, is quiet time. We have got a lot of noise in our busy world and a lot of voices and a lot of chatter that's going on all the time. And as I said earlier, one of the challenges is to hear the soft and subtle voice of our intuition through all of this chatter that is going on around us. So a very good practice is to, if you don't already do this, is to begin to meditate or just to create some quiet time for yourself. And there are some different types of meditation that you can do. One type of meditation is when you are specifically sitting with a question, a decision that you need to make, so you can meditate on that. And another option is just to do a mindfulness meditation. And what happens here is you are really then training your brain just to become a little bit more quiet, and when you become distracted, it just comes back into the present moment, because this is where we access our intuition. It's in the present moment. The fourth practice that I want to share with you to help you to develop your intuition is to keep a dream journal. When we go to sleep, our subconscious mind really processes all of the information, all of the things that happen to us during the day. It also begins to solve problems, and we also connect with the spirit world. So our dreams then contain a lot of messages and a lot of valuable information. But the problem is, most of the time we wake up from our dreams, or we wake up from our sleep, and we don't really remember our dreams, except maybe for a few fragments, if they were really vivid dreams. And a good idea then for you to develop this practice is to keep a dream journal. So keep a notebook that you have next to your bed, and when you wake up in the mornings, or even when you wake up at night after, from a dream, if you wake up, just to write down the dream, the sensations, the impressions, and the kind of the storyline. Write that down in your journal, and then over a period of time, you'll be able to pick up patterns and messages. These 4 practices of, really discovering what your intuition shows up like for you, keeping a record of your intuitive messages, both the times when you listened and the times that you didn't really pay attention, connecting with your inner wisdom in a daily practice of becoming quiet through meditation, and then finally keeping a dream journal to record all of the messages that come through easier when we sleep, because we don't have any ego resistance in our sleep state or in our dream state. Following these 4 practices will definitely help you develop your intuition. It's going to show you how you can follow your inner voice. And the benefit from this is because you're now keeping a record, because you're consciously seeing these things showing up in your life, and you have got a measurement of how your intuition is working for you, you will begin to trust yourself more. Our intuition is really our inner guidance for our highest good. And if you trust yourself, then it becomes easier for you not to only access your intuition, but also to use it to guide your decisions and guide your life. I also want to ask you, if you found value in this video, if you found it helpful, please hit the like button. That shows me that you found it helpful and that you enjoyed it. And also share it with a friend who will benefit from developing their intuition. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to subscribe. If you're not yet a subscriber, go on and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.